Welcome, everyone. This is video number 3 of 3 with Dr. Ulwyn Pierre, part of the WELLther series. And Dr. Ulwyn is going to share with us a little bit about Hunomics 3, and a word that's near and dear to my heart is legacy. But I'm asking Dr. Ulwyn to share with us this Hunomics 3 in relationship to Hunomics 1 and 2, just so that you have a bit of a framework of where she's coming from. And then we're gonna unpack legacy, because I think it's something that we all need to pay attention to. So Dr. Ulwyn, about Hunomics 3?
Okay, and you want me to put it in context of Hunomics 1 and 2. So Hunomics is a blueprint to authentic living, exceptional leadership, and financial freedom. So in part 1, we dealt with the individual, because as I shared, in order to lead effectively for leaders, they have to be able to lead themselves. So you dealt with the individual. In the second part, we have to deal with the company, because leaders lead companies, firms, or whatever, and they have to be able to lead effectively, and they are challenged to do that. So what I have done is to say, okay, now you know how to lead yourself. Now let's go using that, learn how to lead others, and learn how to make massive transformations in your businesses so that you increase productivity, decrease costs, and increase profitability. Now we come back to the individual, because they are at the stage of their life where they're close to retirement, and they're thinking about legacy. And I felt that that was very important, because too many people, they retire or come close to retirement, and they are very concerned about what my life is going to look like, or what am I going to do? I still have substance and all that, what is happening here? And therefore I wanted to talk about and address not only leaving a legacy, that's what people talk about, but is living and leaving a legacy. And as I talked about it earlier, my father, when he died, he was a very powerful man. There was a lot to leave. This is how I benefited from his wisdom. And therefore, what it is, he lived a legacy, but he didn't do that next step. And therefore, I felt that that was an important part to look at. But I want to read something, because Dr. Stephen, you shared with me one day your definition of legacy. And okay, that's the best I've heard. So I want to share it with the audience. You shared legacy is defined. It is about the useful what's, time, effort, and money that you give to others so that they could learn something from your lived experience. And that lived experience is so very important.
It is, and I know you mentioned it in terms of even Hunomics 1, but when you picked up this story of Hunomics 1, 2, and 3, and you've got to this point of legacy, what's your legacy story?
My legacy story would be, I defied the odds. They told me that I could not do it when I was doing this, but they didn't know I knew the end. And I was clear what the end was. And I did it anyway. And now I am here helping people to live their best life now and have an opportunity to leave legacy for generations to come. I did it anyway. And I would say, when people tell you no, you smile and you move on, because no is a complete sentence. So therefore you move on. You were born for a certain purpose, and you make those decisions on behalf of you.
So your legacy story shifted. So when you were in the private consulting for 20 plus years, And all of a sudden, then you rose up one day. I'm thinking it must have been like one day you went, hang on a minute. I think my legacy story is going to shift here because I want to move a bit more into the public domain and share with more and more people. What was it that sparked that pivot, that legacy pivot for you?
Well, one of the things is my father was very much involved in the community, and I saw how he improved it. So as a little kid, I could not explain it, but there was that thing in my brain, is that the solution and living your best life is not just for the few, it's for the masses. And we owe it because we shape the culture of our community, our organizations, and our world. And therefore, what happens, we are going to be informed thinkers and doers, and also being part of that decision-making process. Because much of the time when you see what is happening, you question a lot of stuff. Wait a second here, what's going on? And based on the kind of developmental process we went through, we could be assets, not only to our community, but to the world, and shape a better world for all of us. And that's why I changed and wanted it also for the community. And especially because how I saw this world going. And especially how I saw more and more people not thinking for themselves, but they are followers versus leaders. We were born to lead. We could lead in very different ways, but we were born to lead. We were born to think. That's why we have freedom of choice, free will. That's why we were gifted with all of this stuff. Why are we leaving it to waste? Because when you are dead, you are dead. Do you know that more than 90% of people die with their unique song in them? They die with their purpose because they have not lived that. What a shame. It's liquid gold. It's diamonds. Let's use it.
So from a perspective of using it, for those who are listening in, I love threes, okay? So I'm just going to ask you, is there 3 considerations, suggestions that you could share here, even through an examples, however you would like to do it, so that as a listener, they can go, okay, I like number 1. I may not do 2, but I like number 3. What are some suggestions from a legacy perspective that could help someone listening in?
So let's start with number 1. We paid a lot of money to be educated. We have invested in ourselves. Many of us have made sacrifices to be where we are. We have created, we are innovative. What a shame. It's not a waste to just leave nothing so your children and great-great-great-grandchildren can learn from you. For me, what I found the most important thing, my father being a person that I admire and a mentor, that was so important. I could not be where I am today without that experience, and begin to look at the world in that fashion. Okay?
Yeah, that's great. So in that, I hear the word mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the ways in which you can leave a legacy is to mentor. Yeah. Is that?
Yes.
That's what you're, okay, keep going.
Mentor effectively. That's another discussion we can have, because I have a little peeve about that.
Yeah, because I appreciate there's people, I think the phrasing, if I get it correctly, is just because you think you can doesn't mean you should, right? People put their mentor coaching shingles out there and out they go. So I think that what you're saying is, if you're going to do it correctly, or do it effectively, do it the way that's going to really be helpful. Is that fair?
Yes. Okay. And when I talk about the legacy, is that we build it while they're alive. So it is not distorted. It is not watered down. And they leave people in charge. So they know that it will have integrity relative to what they wanted. And the people in charge could also advance it if they want. The second one is pursuing some cause. And it could be any cause. For me, I looked at what I am doing as a cause that I chose to do. You know, I was lucky to see it early in my life, but I want this to live. I put in too much money, time, and effort to get this thing working, and it works no matter what. It works from birth to death, because it had to be from birth to death, because it's a whole human being. What? Our lifespan is what? From birth to death. And I would not want to see that wasted. I would not want to have to see somebody reinvent the wheel and go through what the hell that I went through. Okay? And the sacrifices that I have made in order to produce something that works. I would not just want to see it disappear, or someone takes it and dilutes it, because it is not to be diluted.
So by cause, what are you referring to? Am I replacing that with a word like philanthropy, or how are you using cause?
I'm using cause, the cause of freedom. We were born.
Oh, okay.
And that we need to begin to instill in people and have them tap into that. When we talk about freedom, it's like external to ourselves now. And I feel that that is so very important, because we begin to treat people differently. There isn't a minority and a this and a that and the other. We are human beings of equal value and worth. And we need to be respected, and we need to be valued, because we have contributions to make where everyone could win. And I want to put my stake in the ground.
So could someone who's supporting a water project in another part of the world, they could call that the cause, but they're also doing it from a place of freedom, are they not?
Of course, because they're improving the conditions of the place. They're preventing disasters. They're helping the country grow, providing opportunities for others. Yeah, that's a cause.
Okay, so what we've done is we've talked about something like mentor, right? Talked about supporting a cause. The third one is?
I think the third one is, I want to say, I have a fourth one, I'm sorry. I want to start with the third one is philanthropy. I'm a philanthropist. I know after this, and I get this thing launched and have people involved and create jobs and opportunities for people, I would like to go and do some philanthropic work, because I have done it. Some don't have to be concerned with the sales and marketing and the technology. I go and I do what I am good at for the world, and not be encumbered, because I know some people may take offense to that, but for me, I feel encumbered with doing all of this other stuff than doing what I'm best at. So I would like to do that. I have done a lot of it while working. I would do, like, every year, every other year, I have been working with an elderly person who felt that they will die with their song in them, and help them have it sung before they leave this earth. Or a young person, providing them opportunities and helping and guiding them so they can have a bigger vision for their lives, and guiding them so that they could, when they finish, they have not only made a mark for themselves, but for many of them, for their families, because sometimes they're the first people, the first person to go to college in the family. So
Okay. You just mentioned a fourth?
Yes. The fourth one is research. Not theoretical research like, okay, you know what I mean? Solid research. So therefore, when we are approaching certain things, it is rooted in fact. It is rooted in science and technology or whatever it is, so that we could take a stand for this. And what it does, it helps people advance what they are doing, because you're contributing to their education, their talent, their scope in which they look at things. And that is exciting.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And as you know, I play with words. So research is about research, about the search. And if we can encourage people through their own legacy story to be about the search and finding those ways to mentor, to share what you know, to do the philanthropy. This is all important element, but also to seek that truth. Okay, great. So from a summary perspective, if you were to say to someone, okay, share with someone, I think here is a path that links this notion of freedom and true freedom all the way through the Hunomics 1, 2, and 3. If you were to give us a story of someone that you've supported and use that as a way to encourage us to really pay attention to your message, right? To really get a sense of what you're encouraging each of us to do. What is that story and what is that message?
You know, much of it started with when I'm working with my clients and they would say something about, there's more to life than this. I hear that again and again. And then I chat with them and find out, because they're saying that because there's something else they want to do. And based on what they have, the journey, the adventure into themselves, into their companies that they have taken, they have what it takes. So we identify what it is they want to live and leave as their legacy, because they have gone through that path. And then what we do, and I share with them the excitement of each phase. You know what I mean? You're going to be your best you. Is that something you don't want? Okay. Now, you're a leader, and do you want to be an icon in your industry? Do you want to have the reputation that you are one of the top people in your industry, or second or third or fourth? You're leaving also a legacy for your kids to say it's possible, and for the people that you interface with. So I asked them about that. And then the third one is that when you die, is that the end? Is that it? After all this drama you went through in life, and the good and the bad and the ugly, what about leaving something so that, you know, they say life is eternal, but physically we die? Leave your legacy. Let it live on when you are not here. And people are they have not, a lot of them have not thought about it, but they're mesmerized by it. And I help them work through it, help them build it, involve their family in ways in which the family would like to be involved. And therefore, what happens is that you could say now, when it is time to leave this earth, I have truly lived.
Wonderful.
And it's okay to say goodbye.
Yes.
For now.
For now. So what is one of the best ways to get a hold of you?
I have a website. It's called embracingfreedomglobal.com, and you can get hold of me that way. You could also get hold of me via LinkedIn. Look for Dr. Ulwyn, Ulwyn, Pierre, Pierre, and send me a message. Also, when you send me a message, tell me where you met me or you heard me, so we could kind of have a continuing of this conversation that we have been having. Those
Great.
are the two places that I believe that you will get me.
And again, I would encourage people, if you've got comments about what Dr. Ulwyn has shared, please leave them below here. There's always room around this video to leave your thoughts. Again, I would encourage you to subscribe to this channel, and because you'll be able to read more about other WELLthers who are doing fabulous, tremendous activities like Dr. Ulwyn is doing. And like most WELLther interviews that I do, Dr. Ulwyn, you get the last words. What would you like to share with everyone?
Be the change you want to see in yourself and then in the world. That so desperately needs all of us. Another thing is that freedom is your right and not a gift. Use it. And the last one is meaningful. Let meaningful success be your only option. It must be meaningful. It has more impact, not only on the receiver, but also the sender.
So with that, Dr. Ulwyn, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me and inviting me to be a part of this. I truly appreciate it.